Welcome, welcome, welcome to Designing Your Digital Classroom with Schoology. Love it. I am Dr. Desiree Alexander. I am the founder, CEO of Educator Alexander Consulting. These are all of the different ways that you can contact me. If you're watching us on the YouTube video, no, you don't get a certificate, but you do get the knowledge. And if you look right under the video, you'll see the resource for today. So yay, you. What is coming up next? I am presenting at ISTE in NOLA. It is next week. I can't believe it's already next week. So definitely, if you're going to be at NOLA in person, I don't know if these are going to be virtual and in person. I have no clue, but it's definitely going to be in person. Definitely come and check me out. I would love to see you and meet you in person. Then we have, I'm going to skip that because that is done. So then we have the summer learning series with spaces. Woo, woo. Every Friday in July, you have sessions on spaces. So definitely go to this website, see all of the different sessions, sign up. Really good way to get those CEUs and COUs before you get started, but also a really good way to learn about a new platform that you can completely use right at the beginning of school. Then we have Teach Tech, and if this is a paid conference, it is $75, but you get 20% off if you use the code FRIENDS. And I am teaching there on July 8th, and it is virtual. And then we have the free, the awesome, the original Ed Change Global. It has changed. We are no longer 24 hours. We have a fresh schedule. So we have ECG After Dark, where you come and play games and win prizes. And y'all know we always bring the sponsors, right? And then we have ECG PD Day, where it's international presenters will be presenting on a whole bunch of different stuff. So definitely check us out. And then we have virtual DLC from Sci-Fair in Texas, but it's open to everyone. And look at this roster. Come on now. I like Dr. Desiree Alexander, but come on now. Look at that roster. All right. Then we have in August, Immerse students with AR, VR, and XR with Rochelle is coming back. She's definitely a friend of EA webinars and does a whole bunch of webinars for us. Creating follow-ups with FormU. I almost emailed Catherine last night and was like, Catherine, I need this session right now. But that's okay. I figured it out. But I cannot wait to learn about FormU. We have starting the year off right. We're back with spaces, but this is how to use it with parents. Love that, right? We need that. And then we have AI in education. Are they going to replace us? Are the machines coming? I don't know. Rochelle will let us know. I'm afraid. Then we have increasing your ed tech footprint and influence. If you're like, Desiree, I have so much to say, and I want to make sure that people get this good information. Well, come and learn how you can increase your ed tech footprint. This is from the Everyone Academy in Morocco, but they're doing it virtually. So yay, I'll be there. And then we have Teach Tech in Houston, Texas. One of my absolute favorite conferences is free. It's one of the biggest, most organized, just chill conferences. I love it. I say that every year, but I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorites. So that will be in person. And then we have special education and beyond. Each and every teacher needs to know about special education. You may say, Desiree, teachers? No, all educators, right? We need to know this information. So definitely come and listen to Dr. Marilyn. And then we have Rochelle coming on back with 3 tools for endless possibilities. I wonder what 3 tools she's talking about. I don't know, but I can't wait to find out. All right. And then I always have my self-paced courses. If you're interested in getting certified for Google level 1 and level 2, or you're interested in getting that educational leadership certification by passing the SLLA test prep, you have self-paced courses that you can enter at any time. And if you're like, Desiree, you went too fast. You didn't even take a breath. I know I didn't, but they're all at the same link, edalex.net/events. So I don't mind going quickly because you didn't come to hear me talk. You came to learn how to design some instructional practices using Schoology.
All right. How y'all doing? Good morning or good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you are. I am Dr. Will. I'm an instructional technologist with a K through 12 school district, also a podcaster, trainer, and educational consultant. And with anyone with my job, it is my responsibility to teach teachers how to use the tools that we purchase in our district to reimagine and engage students in the classroom. And as everyone, we had to deal with the pandemic and how that sort of shook up what we knew about teaching and learning. Now, fortunately for us, for grades 6 through 12, we were already one-to-one. We had already been using Schoology. We just had to take that information and shift it down from K through 5, especially when we brought everyone on to Schoology. So today, what I'm going to be talking to you about in the beginning is just a general sense of what does it mean to sort of teach online and to teach in a digital classroom. And then we're going to hop straight into Schoology, where you can see an example course that I have set up for teachers, and we're going to walk through things and show you some stuff. And at any moment you have a question, feel free to holler at me so we can kind of get that going. So as you can see, we're going to be talking about, excuse me, the different types of online learning, digital, instructional, lesson line, some tools that you can try out, and what does all of this look in Schoology, as well as have a Q&A. So when you hear about different types of learning, it's mostly synchronous and it is asynchronous. And with synchronous, we're talking about the live lesson that normally, all of us had to do during the pandemic, in which you were with your students and you were going one-to-one. I mean, well, not one-to-one, but one-to-many, and you were live, and everyone had a lot of issues with kids sort of showing up at some point in time, and things are sort of drawn out. And one of the things about it is, it's cool to have sort of that engagement because you are in an environment outside of the classroom and you want to be able to have that touch, those points to be able to connect with your students. It's cool to be able to give that great feedback as well. But the problem is with the schedule, because when your kids are online and they have to show up at 8 o'clock, they have to show up at a specific time. As some of you noticed, at some point, kids start to kind of drop off and didn't show up. And so the schedule became an issue. Technical difficulties are always an issue. I work in as an instructional technologist, and I tell folks it ain't if the technology is going to break, is when the technology is going to break. And then you have to deal with security issues when it comes to video conferencing, because some platforms are more secure than less. And then with the asynchronous, that is kids going on whenever they want to, whenever they have time, whenever the spirit hits them. What is awesome about this is there is great flexibility. So a kid can get on at 2 a.m. and do their work. It is awesome for pacing because, again, kids are not beholden to a schedule and can do the work as they please. And the cons, again, you can have isolation because kids are not showing up face to face, right? And because they are not connected to a classroom, they're not connected to their classrooms in that fashion, you can have a tendency for students to not connect and not be a part of the classroom. And as we saw during the pandemic, at some point in time, kids were just like, hey, I'm done. I'm at the house. I got my phone, my iPad, I got my Xbox or whatever. And they just stop, caring. And it can be time consuming because kids have to, they're doing this thing sort of on their own, and is not where you are in some sense of the driving seat and guiding instruction. And so what generally works best is a blended learning environment in which you as a teacher can provide that guidance, that support, while teachers are able to do some self-paced work where students can take ownership of their learning. And with these tools that come into play, you have your Zoom, you have your Skype, your Google Meet, your Adobe. And then inside of Schoology, they have the big blue button, which is really awesome because with the big blue button, not only can you do the things of the breakout rooms and students ask you questions and you be able to give feedback and actually deliver that live instruction within Schoology, bring in different PDF resources, bring in your slide decks. But those you can record in is recording and it's housed straight into Schoology, where students have access to go back and watch those whenever or how often they need it. The downside to it is it has a 7-day limit. So after 7 days, that video will be deleted. And so what you want to do, I always tell teachers, is set your expectations. Your classroom in Schoology is a real classroom, right? It is not a warehouse. It is not a place for you to just, like a closet. Well, I'm just going to throw some stuff in there, or whatever. You must treat it like a real classroom. So what does that mean? You set your expectations, you set your norms, just like you do offline. So students know whenever they log in, this is what they need to be doing, as well as the behavior that is expected, right? So kids don't get online and don't, go like, hey, this is just a casual space. I'm going to say what I want to say. I'm going to post these inappropriate things. So, of course, this is where digital citizenship comes into play as well. And then you want to give a breakdown of your course and your routines. Talk about what is your role versus the student's role. Because again, students have to understand, just like in an offline environment, if a kid walks in and they know, I walk in, I put my backpack in the cubby, I hang my coat here, then I go straight to pick up my folder. They know exactly the same thing to do when they're in Schoology. Always anticipate issues that are going to come up with the tech, because I'm telling you right now, you've already experienced those things are going to happen. And you also want to let kids know if these arise, or when these issues arise, what is to happen in place in lieu of. And so you want to make sure your course is organized. But again, we don't want to just start throwing stuff up in Schoology just to kind of, because the principal said, hey, you have to create instruction. You just like, oh, I'm just going to throw stuff in there. I'm going to throw this stuff in there. You don't want to do that. You also don't want to do what you did do what you do in an offline environment. Meaning, a lot of times, you hear about this, we're going to teach from bell to bell. And a lot of times that means we're just doing it all. We're just doing it all. And there's a lot of filler stuff. And so with this digital classroom, you do not want to just throw everything into your course in Schoology, because one, you want to chunk material so kids can feel successful, right, that they're going to it. Because what you want to avoid is cognitive overload, which means that people can only pay attention to so much at a certain time before their brains just kind of shut down and they wander off. And you can see this yourself by a YouTube video, for example, right? You go on YouTube and a lot of these YouTube videos are short because, again, it's about, let me get this information in, let's entertain, but we don't want to reach that threshold where people are starting to click on from different tabs because they're like, okay, I'm just going to let this play in the background. You always want to start with your pacing guide. You always start with your objectives. You don't want to say, hey, Flipgrid is dope, I want to use Flipgrid, right? And so you want to make sure you do that. And when you're doing that, pay attention to what you want students to be able to do, how you want them to provide evidence, and that's how you start to examine your course. When you look at your tools, you always want to start with what your district has first and not get caught up, because, a lot of us are on Twitter or Facebook, and we hear a lot of shiny stuff that come through, and it's easy to start chasing the shiny as opposed to mastering what your district has for you to use first. So make sure, again, you find these tools, you make sure you know them well, and make sure you start with your instructional goals and make sure these tools fit that. And then let's deal with organization, right? And so I cannot say this enough. In Schoology, you have what is called a folder structure. And a folder structure really allows you to organize your instruction in a way in which it is clear, it is easy to follow, and we're going to go into Schoology so you can see what we have done. I, as the person who is charged with leading our digital instruction, I always tell teachers, and you can always tweak it, but I say create that overarching folder that is like week 1 and has that date. And then inside of that is Monday folder, Tuesday folder, Wednesday folder, Thursday folder, Friday folder, so to speak, and have the dates so that kids know on this day, this is what I have to do, as well as parents. Because if parents are going to go behind and look at what students have to do, they don't need to be searching for things, right? Because you can use, I don't want to necessarily say buzzwords, but there are certain things that we know in education. So you don't want to just say exit ticket. Parent doesn't know what that is. But if it's organized in a certain way where they know, okay, on Monday, boom, 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 here's exit ticket. Now a parent knows, okay, this is what needs to be done in this order. So we'll make sure that things make sense, that things are organized. Now, I also tell you to make things fit to what you do. So I had teachers come to me and say, hey, I need to do something in addition to the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because I also had them set it up in the lesson line. And I said, fine. But again, these are certain things that must happen because, again, if I am coming into your classroom to observe, if your principal comes to your classroom, if a parent comes to your classroom, no one needs to be lost, right? Everyone needs to know what is going down. And the folder structure in Schoology is really awesome for organization. Is that a question we have right there? Doctor, we have a question because I saw some pop in the chat.
Nope, you're good.
All right. Is everybody doing okay so far? All right, now.
Everyone is good. They're saying, yeah.
All right, holler at me, people. Holler at me. All right, now, you want to have a digital learning plan as well because, again, when you're talking about moving your instruction online, you have to plan this out. This has to be planned out in a way that makes sense for the online environment. You know, what happens with a lot of teachers when they go online, they try to replicate exactly what they do in the offline classroom. And you can't do that because, I mean, certain aspects can translate, but you can't do it exactly the same way because it's not going to work well because an online environment is a more dynamic, more fluid. And you want to make sure, again, that you engage your students and you're not PDFing them to death, right? And you know what I'm talking about, where you put a couple of videos in from YouTube, et cetera, and it's like PDF. And I've told teachers in my own school district, I know we pay for something like Cami, which allows them to type into our the PDF documents that come from the curriculum we purchase, but don't just PDF these kids to death. Take that curriculum and manipulate it and use it use different tools, use it in different ways to teach your students, to engage your students and allow your students to provide evidence and not just here's a PDF, here's a PDF, here's a PDF. And so you also, when you're looking at this, you want to say, hey, when it comes to my instruction, will it be delivered? We're going to look at some live lectures and what do I need to do in terms of my videos, right, that I'm going to be making. And we all know about Screencastify and Loom, and you can even use Zoom. I love Explain Everything. Those are videos that platform I use to create my instructional videos for teachers. But figure out how you're going to sort of map these things out. Understand what students will be doing independently versus students will be doing in groups. What will be assignments? When will your assignments be due? Because in Schoology, it allows you to also set up due dates for when assignments will be due. It also allows you to set it up to where kids will not see certain assignments until you want them to see it. So you have a lot of great control inside of Schoology to actually lay out your instruction for students.
And then I have a question about that. Are there certain instructional activities you would suggest that are good for digital learning? or should never be used in digital learning?
When it comes to, let's say, manipulatives, for example, I like manipulatives, even though there are digital manipulatives. If you're at home completely online, all you got is online unless you send stuff to the house. So I like manipulatives to be done offline because you have, those base 10 blocks or what have you. It's great to have kids have that in their hands. What I like the online for, I like group activities where kids are able to kind of communicate and chat with each other to provide support and to actually work together and collaborate. I also like the online environment for quick instructional videos, because as you know, as a teacher, if you're walking in, you got 25 kids, you don't know what you got when you first walk in. Now, I guess you can look at previous data going into CUME folders and such, but once you get into that classroom, you can have kids on grade level, above grade level, and below grade level, right? And so given that, having these tools at hand to where you can actually better remediate and target instruction, that's where I love the technology because it also allows you to, if you're going to do, let's say, a blended learning environment, you have a teacher station. When those students come to you, you can actually better target where they are, right? So let's just say these are the kids who are below grade level, sort of maybe getting to grade level. You can now work with that group of 5 or 7 or wherever you have to target that instruction. Also, like the online stuff for creation. So not just consuming stuff of here's a bunch of videos, but for students to create things to provide evidence. So whether that's I'm going to create a video, or I'm going to create a podcast, I'm going to create this graphic, I'm going to go into Canva and actually create my own instructional video to explain a concept or understanding for students in our classroom. I've even known a teacher to break her kids off into groups and say, hey, you are going to teach a specific lesson to your classmates, and you pick whatever tool you want to use. And so I've seen kids use Nearpod and Kahooted and whatever, and now they're teaching their own classmates. And so they're using different tools to do that. But the tools for me allow you to expand what is possible in the face-to-face. And I am not about everything going online, but that face-to-face, to me, that is where the teacher needs to work his or her magic. That's when you need to communicate. That's where you need to facilitate discussion, facilitate inquiry. That's when you need to really engage your students. And then when it comes to sort of submitting the work, the online is always great because it helps you with grading and giving feedback. Anything else?
That was it.
Awesome. So look at your instructional content and supports, right? Check out your articles, your books, your videos, resources, and look at the accessibility for your students. And are there tools out there that'll help? So let's say you have EL students, tools that will read to them in their native language, or students who have, when it comes to vision, do you need to set the settings that will change colors or typeset, et cetera, or again, be able to read them? Look at what you can engage your students with and how you can assess students in different ways beyond, the multiple choice, the fill in the blank, and what other tools that are available. Now, again, I like to tell teachers, when you're looking at certain tools, again, always start with the standard, always starts with learning objectives, but get you a core group of tools that you can master and not, get into a situation where it's like Walmart, right? And you just walking down the aisle and you just start picking up stuff in your basket. And the next thing you know, it's like, where all this stuff come from? So you don't want to just, overload yourself with a bunch of tools. And so there's different types of methodologies for, teaching online. You got your Dick, carry and carry, your agile. And what I have done is I'm not approaching teachers with these instructional design models that I normally use in higher ed or corporate learning. I just say, hey, you already know what gradual release is, right? And so what I do is I take the gradual release when I'm talking to teachers about how do you design your instruction, but we make it fit a digital landscape, right? So we know that is the modeling piece, right? And so if you're doing a live lecture, I tell teachers to keep it around 20, 25 minutes to avoid, that cognitive overload. Now, your district is the district is, they can tell you whatever you want to do. And sometimes that 20 minutes can be over depending on, quite honestly, how engaged your students are and how gifted you are. Everybody ain't meant to deliver direct instruction like that. Hey, it is what it is. We all have our gifts, in our gifts when it comes to teaching. And then we have our we do, and let's make this active. Let's not make this just, we're going to do a worksheet together, but make this something where kids are actively involved and they're doing things. Now, if you have this curriculum that your school district has given you, and it's a paper curriculum like we have called Ready, apps like Kami will allow you to those kids to type in and annotate and circle, and you can add video to that document. You can add pictures and all sorts of things. But again, making sure that your kids are actively involved in what they're doing and they're not just sort of passively sitting by, as well as passively just sort of typing in that PDF. And then, what I love about Nearpod, you can actually take that paper curriculum in Nearpod and then start to add different things to where now that paper document is more interactive and you can now work with your students in a different way. And the you do, that independent practice, we all know there's so many tools you can do, from a HyperDoc. We know about those things. We know about Canva. We know about Flipgrid. We know about all of these different tools that exist. But again, making sure that things are fitting your learning objectives first, the standard first, and coming up with different ways, again, to give students ownership, allow to tap into different geniuses that your students have. And again, let's avoid the urge to just PDF these kids to death. I have gone into classes where everything was a PDF. And I'm like, all right, now we're gonna have to reel this thing back. Because even you as an adult, if you were to take an online course, if you were to take a course from someone offering PDF classes or what have you, if you saw a bunch of PDFs in that bad boy, you'd be like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a long day. And so you want to, again, mix it up and make sure that kids are actually being active in their learning, right? So my wife has even had kids create video games using Bloxels. And so again, having kids, use these tools to become creative, to become creators is a great thing to do. All right. So we're back and now we're back afterwards. We're in Schoology, and it was cool to jump into these breakout rooms to hear everyone talk about what they've been doing and discussing and certain things that have been going on. So now we're right into Schoology. I'm going to show you a sample course layout that I talk to teachers about. I'm going to show you another example of what some other people are doing. And at any point, again, you have any questions, if you want to say, hey, Dr. Will, how can I create an assessment? I can walk you through how to create an assessment, but just holler at me and we're going to go into this. Now, one of the cool things I love about Schoology, and I'm going to start here, and I don't know if any one of you are taking advantage of this, is you have this home screen, right? And the cool thing about this home page is not only can your school, and depending on the rights and permissions your school district has given you, someone can create a school-wide announcements. So, but right here, I am in the Schoology Enterprise group because I'm the LMS administrator for our district. So this pops up on my page, right? But, and all these are Schoology Enterprise. But if you see right here, this is a person who's at the high school. She runs the Career Center. And notice she is putting this information for graduation, and everybody at the high school will see this. So that student does not have to be given a piece of paper from the teacher, nor do they have to, break up classes to give those announcements. I hate when I hit an announcement coming through. That information can actually be put into Schoology, and then students can actually have this information on their phones. When parents create their free account and get attached to their student, they'll actually be able to see this information as well. But also, you as a teacher, you can actually create updates for your students. So once you create update, you can actually have an update to say, okay, tonight, don't forget to do this. Or when you come into my classroom, be prepared to do X, Y, and Z. Or here's a great resource that I found. And all you got to do is type your message in, and when it says post, you just post it to your courses. And when you hit select, and once you hit post, now your students are going to see that update right as soon as they log into Schoology. It'll be right on their homepage. Now, what you're looking at here with this update, this upcoming assignments, once you create an assignment in Schoology and you set it with an update, when things are starting to come up to be due, all of those things, you're going to see a listing right here. You will see it, the students will see it, parents will see it. And once stuff starts being turned in, you'll actually see such and such assignments were turned in. You can actually click on that. And then this bell at the top right, this bell, when anything is turned in right here, your notifications, you can click on that as well and go to what has been submitted, and which you can look at it and grade it and give feedback. You also can send messages to students inside of Schoology, so you don't have to go outside of Schoology to communicate with your students. And your students can, as well, can communicate with you inside of Schoology as well. So let's jump into that course. Now you have your course dashboard. You click on, and all of your courses that you are an administrator of, you will see those courses. So when I click in my sample course for Schoology, immediately I'm looking at my actual course content. But on my left, I have updates. I can also create an update straight in here for my students. Here is my grade book. If you haven't done so already, you will click on the grade book setup to actually create your different settings for your grade book to match your assignments in which they'll go in there. You have your mastery. I don't know anybody who's doing the mastery, but this is dope. The mastery works as I know it has all core classes. Now, if you are in different states, I don't know if it's been in there, but talk to your Schoology person and have them put in there. If it's not in there, you can actually create anything you create in Schoology, any assignment, any test, any quiz, any exit ticket, anything you create in there, you can actually set it to a specific standard. And as kids are going through the material, you can now pull a mastery report of where your kids are. So if your kids are mastering the standard, it is going to be in green. If they are not mastering the standard, it's going to be in some sort of pinkish red. And you can actually look at that to say, which kids can I accelerate and which kids do I need to remediate? So you have that right here. You can give kids badges. They have some preset badges in there already. And you can also make up badges, right? So these are all, preset badges. And I made a badge myself. And these are all teachers who are in my PD courses. But where it says add badges, you can actually create your own new badge as well. You can take attendance in the Schoology. We don't do that because we already have SAMs, which we officially take attendance with, but you can do that. Your members are which all of your students are in your courses. Anyone that has this admin is an admin in the course, and they can control whatever happens in there. And as you can see, this is my curriculum and instruction team. So I built this course, and everybody's here, and we can all work with different teachers based upon this course. You have your analytics, which is really dope because you can see what kids are doing, what they are turning in, when they logged in, how much time they logged in, right? I call that the CYA, right? So when the parent is like, oh, my kid was at the table, at the desk, all day on the computer. Hey, Miss Johnson, that might be true, but they didn't log into Schoology, or they were in Schoology 5 minutes. They didn't turn in my work. So you actually have this there for you. And then these right here are all the apps that can be, once you integrate into Schoology, you'll see all of your apps sitting right here. And then this is that conference function I mentioned earlier about the big blue button, in which you as a teacher can actually create a video conference right here. And instead of using Zoom, instead of using Google Meet, you can actually do that right from Schoology, where your kids are not going outside of the system. Anyone have any comments or questions before we actually go inside this course materials?
Not at this time.
All righty. So let's go into my course layout. I always tell teachers, create an introduction. And in your introduction, you're going to use the add materials, add page function. This will allow you to create a welcome and introduction in which you get to tell your students, hey, my name is such and such. I've been teaching for this many years. This is what this course will be about. I like this team, etc. And you can also, again, include your course expectations for your students, so they know these are the rules that when you log into Schoology, this is what I expect. Because remember, this is a real digital classroom, so you got to have all of that set up. So you have your student introduction. So again, your students will say, hey, my name is such and such. I like doing this X, Y, Z. And the reason you want to set those up is because you want to create a community inside of your classroom. And when kids feel like they are a part of a community, even adults, when they feel like they are a part of a community in an online environment, they tend to be more engaged and more active, as opposed to just sitting there and I'm just boom, 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 boom. I'm just getting all of this stuff. Now, remember when I talked about organizing your materials. And right here, I have week 1, I have this date, and you can put, this is unit 1 or unit 2 or what have you. You want to have this organized because it keeps you organized as a teacher, because you already know what is going down with this. Your students are organized because when they log in, they see this, they can follow this. Parents can see that, your school administrator can see that, the district specialist can see everything. So it keeps everyone organized, right? So when I click my week 1, I have my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Again, I have my organization going, and I have this set up via your gradual release. So you have your bell ringer, your modeling, your guided practice, your independent practice, but I also put in different type of assessments and these bonus materials for things that you want to put in. And the bonus material can just be stuff for your early finishers, or just different materials that you want to have your students have access to, right? So when I click on my bell ringer, I have my bell ringer based upon this standard, and I have these other different examples of a bell ringer as well. But when I click on this bell ringer, I'm using the Schoology assessment and not the Schoology test. And when I click on this preview, right, look how beautiful this looks. Now, this is the audio record function. I always tell, when I create my things with teachers, I'm a Steelers fan. So I always do greatest NFL team of all time. And I always say, winners of 6 Super Bowls. So I always do that with my teachers. But look at this example right here of this bell ringer. And you see again how clean this option is right here. So I'm going to show you another bell ringer that we have. Okay, is this the one with the pictures? Oh no, that was the one again. I think I added this to this. Okay, yeah, it is right here. So I have this set up to where it's randomized. So that's what my questions are. All right, so let me move this out of the way. All right, so when I go next, look at this. Now, this is an example from a science using the Punnett square. Again, look how clean this is. And your students, this was created using the multiple choice, but in the multiple choice in creating Schoology, you're actually able to add a picture, not only to the question, but you can actually add a picture to the answers. So your students can actually select a picture with the picture. So for the kindergarten teacher, for example, you can put an apple here, a picture of an apple, and then you can ask the students what letter of the alphabet is the first of this picture. And you can actually put a picture of an A, a B, a C, and a D, and have students select the picture of the A. And so you can have students actually select answers that are pictures as well as text or numbers or whatever you have. Notice here, you have the reviews, you have your accessibilities here. I've selected eliminate choices when I was actually creating this test to set it up. And I can move this to full screen. And when I move here for this bell ringer, again, I'm bringing in a picture here. Again, see how clear this is, but this is actually a drop-down option, another science option. So this is an example just of a bell ringer that you can actually use with your students in different options that they have. And so when I go back to here, I'm a bell ringer. Here is my modeling piece. You can actually have teachers, you can create your own videos, or if you wanted to, if you used a Zoom to do that live instruction, or you used the Google Meet, etc., and you downloaded that video, you can actually put that video in here so your students can actually go back and watch that video as many times as possible. So we have a teacher who actually created her own video using Explain Everything. All right, just to show you an example of what that is. Now, what I like about teachers creating instruction videos, because we know with the modeling, this is about you as a teacher leading the instruction for the students, is that you're able to multiply yourself when you make these short videos, and your students can actually watch these videos as many times as they need. And quite honestly, some of these videos are great for parents as well. I've seen some of that elementary math. I was in the classroom and I'm like, what is that? I was taught how to carry the one. I don't know what these kids doing. So for you to make a video where the parents themselves can also watch the video so they can actually help their children is a great option. And so we have our guided practice, and we know that is the we do, right? And so I created this using Kami. So when I click on this assignment and I hit the open with Kami, and this is our paper curriculum with our district. Now, as you can see, the students themselves can actually go to the story portions. They can actually click the markup, right? They can highlight text. They can go to the text box and go ahead and type in the main idea and key details. Kids can add in drawings. You have the opportunity to add in media, which is pictures and different video as well. So even you as a teacher, if you wanted to find one of those, conjunction function, what's your function? And you can actually add that video on to this document. So your kids you can watch the video as you're going through the we do, and kids can actually look at that as well. You have the ability to actually leave comments for students as well. And what I love also about this function is there is this button right here that says share document. So you can actually share this document to different students in different groups and actually have kids work on in different parts of the curriculum. And it'll actually show you who did what. So their names will be by their work. And so this is a way, again, using that paper curriculum that we, a lot of school districts buy. This is a way to do that instead of them, just writing down on the sheets. But this can be a little more interactive. You can also, again, as I talked about earlier, is taking that PDF and putting it into Nearpod, where you can see what that looks like, because that is amazing. So let me show you. Let me find and go to Nearpod so you can actually see. All right, there we go. All right, so look at it. This is a lesson on main idea. We've taken that paper PDF curriculum, and now we have it set up where it's going to be more interactive with students, because students can type in. Remember that constellation? We just showed that. Let me move this out of the way. And we have made this. Let me go ahead and launch this thing instead of doing it as a preview. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Right. How's everyone doing this morning, by the way?
Someone said they are doing awesome.
All right, all right, all right. All right, so let me move this so I can actually see this. There we go. Move this out of the way. All right. So you can see now we got this thing showed up in I've launched the Nearpod so you can actually see what that looks like. So the kids have this opportunity to, again, become a little more active. You see we have our draw and pin to the slides where students can actually work and type into that. Again, we have this draw tool and annotations right here. Dun, 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 dun. Again, there's a little circle here. I must have done something with the games. But as you can see, you're taking that same paper document. And again, instead of just having kids go in and just go, okay, hey, just, fill this thing out. Or again, we're just going to PDF them to death. You can actually make it a little more interactive by allowing them to draw, allowing them, you can add, again, games in here, doing polls, doing different types of multiple choice, different assessments. You can put that right in here as well. So let me go back to this Schoology. We have this right here. And so let me go back to my course. And then I have my independent practice. And when you're independent practice.
Will, before you go into independent practice, since you went back to your course, we have a quick question.
Go ahead.
For quizzes, the person has used the puzzle piece icon. What is the difference between what you use for bell ringers and the puzzle piece icon?
Well, the puzzle piece icon right here, this is called the assessment tool, right? So when I go into Schoology and I choose add assessment, I can do that. And that's all I did was use the assessment tool to create my bell ringers. I can also use my assessment tool to create an exit ticket or a test. Now, Schoology has this add test to quiz, and add test to quiz, if that's what this is the original version that Schoology put out. And it only gives you multiple choice, fill in the blank. You do have the essay format, true or false, right? So you don't have a lot that you can do with this. But with this assessment piece, when I click on this assessment, it is so much you can do with that. So I'm just going to name this Schoology demo. Notice I can set my due dates, right? And so this is where I mentioned earlier on your home screen, where it has upcoming dates. You can actually set due dates for when an assignment is going to be due. So if I do this, you see it will pop up. Now with Schoology, you're going to always say enable, or you can just put enable from this day to that day. But if you're going to have students, you're going to create this and the next day they're going to be working on something, you want to make sure you do enable, because if not, they're not going to be able to take the test. Your categories are from, again, when you go to your gradebook setup, you're going to set your categories. And because our SIS has essentially the gradebook, it has daily grades and tests and quizzes, I set up the Schoology course just like this. I have my term 5 set up because it's actually summer school. Now notice this option right here where you say have individually assigned. So you can actually assign this to one student. You can assign it to 3, 5, 15, whatever. So you don't have to assign this to everybody, right? And so when I go create, it's going to give me all of these beautiful options, right? So you can say, do I want this set up with a time limit or not? So if you, let's say you're giving a test or even a bell ringer, because I've known teachers to say, look, you got 5 minutes to do that bell ringer, right? Especially let's say at the high school level where kids are free to walk around. And they say, well, you can be outside in that hallway chatting with your friends if you want to, but you got this bell ringer to do. And so they'll set the bell ringer for 5 minutes. So once kids know that's the routine, you'll see a lot of students stop out, kicking in the hallway in the doorway talking. They'll actually go do that. So you can set a time limit for that if you want to. Even if you're giving a test, you can say, okay, we're going to take 40 minutes to take this test. You can have it do that, and it'll cut off. And plus, kids have a timer on the screen, so they'll be able to see where everything is going. You can set, excuse me, randomized order. I love that. The randomized means that the questions are going to be randomized. The order in which they're randomized is going to be randomized as well. You can give kids, let them see the points. You can allow kids to flag for review. Now, what does that mean, flag for review? So let's just say you are giving them an assessment and you got 15 questions. A kid can say, I don't know about question 5, 9, and 12. They can flag it, and when they hit submit, it's going to say, hold up. You go back and look at 5, 9, and 12. And the kids have to look at that before it allowed them to resubmit. You can also allow kids to eliminate answer choices, right? So we teach kids how to do that. So if kids are like, there are four answers, and they answer selections, and they know 3 and 5 are like, we know for a fact that's wrong. They can actually eliminate those and concentrate those on the other ones. You can give kids a calculator, a ruler, a protractor. You can allow kids to highlight text. You can give kids a notepad so they can take down notes. You can allow kids to submit. Can they see it when they submit it? Can they not see it when they submit their answers? Or can you let them see that were correct answers? That is all your choice. And you can give kids up to 24 times or 20 times to take an assessment. Now, that is entirely up to you. I know some teachers who will give them, let's say 5 times, because with them, it's about mastery and not about how many times they take it. So it's entirely up to you. Now, once I hit save, now I get to start to build my questions. So that's when I go to my question choices. I got my traditional multiple choice. I got my traditional true and false, my matching, my ordering. But now I got, am I fill in blank? But now I got drop down. I got drag and drop. Of course, you got your essay. You got your audio. You got your video. Remember, I told you about that. You got your label image, which is fantastic. So for those teachers, let's say you're teaching the plant, you can actually put an image of a plant and then put in your answer choices, put the different parts of the plant, the stem, etc. And then and kids will have to drag those parts to the parts of the plant. You can do this for countries as well. So let's say you're doing a map. You can actually put, okay, this is city here, this town here, whatever. And kids can actually do that as well. Just drag it to the correct space on the map. You have your math, short answer, and all sort of awesome things. And I love the drag and drop because that is a higher function. That is what ends up being on these end of year tests as well. So you can do this. And it's a little, it's different from just clicking A, B, C, and D. And kids are getting experience with those advanced questioning set types. And here is, like I mentioned, the audio version, where the video version is, you can actually have students submit an answer via video. And if you wanted to, as a teacher, you could actually click this function right here. No, that's not what I want to do. Click here. Click this function right here, and you can upload a video of yourself asking students the question, or you can record yourself asking students the question, and then students themselves will turn around and answer you back in video form. And here's what I mentioned earlier about your learning objectives. So when I click on state standards, I'm going to choose Mississippi, college and career readiness. Now, look at my standards I have in here. And as a teacher, all I got to do is choose a grade level, choose a standard, and I can go boom. And I can attach this standard. This thing's mighty close to that stop sharing screen. Let's see if it was gonna do it. I have the share the screen thing is at the bottom. So, but you saw that blue button. If I click on it, then I will attach that standard to that question, to that assignment, to that activity. And what will allow teachers to do as they're going through it, they can actually, on the left-hand side of your course, where you saw that mastery button, they themselves can now go through it and find and do a mastery report of what they're doing. I see a lot of chat things going on. What's going on, Doc? Are you there, Doc? assessments 2. Okay, y'all saw that. All right, all right. Any other questions before we move on?
None at this time.
All right, all right. And so here is my independent practice, and I have this right here, where this is, we've heard of the choice boards and hyperdocs and all those things. So here's an example that you can use with the independent practice. You can also create a Nearpod that it can do self-directed. We all know about that. You can put in your flip grid as well as here. And also these can be steps as part of a project you're working on. So again, like I told you, my wife, in part of her, she may do a novels study, for example, but she teaches gifted, and she may tell her students, based upon this story, I want you to go to Bloxels and create your own video game. And so you can put all of those right here. And again, kids can go through and they'll be able to know, okay, this is what I'm going to do this on this day, give explicit instructions for students to do that. Then you have your different types of assessments. Now, this is actually created with the old time test. So it is not this assessment tool. This is actually the test. And then you can use Jamboard as well for an assessment as an exit ticket, as a way to kind of, shake it up a bit, where it's not just, I'm going to be clicking this button here, I'm going to be clicking there as well as Canva and other tools, because we want kids to start creating and not just consuming. And we want to move beyond rote memorization as well. And then you have your bonus materials that you're putting in. And this is just a video I put in that's all about financial literacy. But you put those things in for your students so they'll have this. Now, this is my first example. Another example, the rest of these are your blended learning, right? So I have my whole group instruction set up right here. And this is what everyone is going to be doing this together as one class. We're going to be doing all of this together. Then I have this example of my stations, right? So with my station, this is what kids, this is a Nearpod that we're going to be doing. If you're in my teacher rotation, we're going to be doing this Nearpod with me. Offline, these are your instructions that you'll be on the online teams. If you're on an online station, you're going to be doing this Quizlet. You're going to be watching this webinar that's on checking. And then you're going to be doing this independent Nearpod on mobile banking and payments. And then I have this station. If you're in station 3, we have this article we're looking at. We have all these different activities. This is one about students just filling out a check. I know that we do a lot of digital banking now with debit cards and all those things, but filling out a check is still something that kids need to do. And so, in creating my sample lesson here, I did mine again on financial literacy and banking. But your students will have, in this instance, in this activity, they get a chance to actually fill out a check as part of their practice, which my roofer told me he had a client that didn't even know how to fill out a check. Wish I didn't have to write him such a big check, but it is what it is. And so notice how I'm doing my station rotations. I'm doing my traditional sort of gradual release right here. I'm doing this all through Schoology. I'm not going outside of Schoology to go to this platform and this platform and this platform. I'm putting this all in here, and you're able to. I'm able to interact with my students here. Now, someone mentioned earlier about their responsibilities and being able to kind of bounce around, right? And so I'm going to show you this. So if I go to courses, now this is going to be different right now because our school year is over. But if I go to courses, I go to my courses, and I'm just going to look up courses. Should have said instructor's last name. Right, and this is my wife's class right here. You can actually see where her course material is right in here. Remember, we're talking about the video games. And so they have this on heroes and characters. They have these tips for creating it. And then actually setting up a story map for how their video game is going to look like. And then they actually go ahead and block those and create the assignment. Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Holly. But you can see what I did was I am a district administrator in Schoology. So someone earlier mentioned about, okay, they're needing access to other courses. If you follow the steps that I did, being an admin, you don't have to add yourself to all of those courses to clog up your dashboard. You just go click in the teacher's last name, and you can actually jump into anybody's course. You can look inside the grade book, and you can look at what has been assigned. You can look at inside of the grade book and see what has been turned in, what has not been turned in. And of course, you see this right here where it says some ungraded assignments and submissions, where you can actually click on and see what needs to be graded. So let me go ahead and go back to my course. I want to show you something that's really dope that a teacher did using Schoology. I was like, this is amazing. So you can also put textbooks, chapters in here. You know, a lot of us have digital textbooks, as well as any ebooks you have. You can actually put them in your course. But I want to go here because you see this right here. This is from the Schoology assessment, right? And so we've all heard about guided notes, right? We've heard about guided notes. Look at what this teacher did using the Schoology assessment function. They created guided notes. Does that not look good? This is amazing. And what I love about this is they get to submit it to the teacher. The teacher could or could not take it for a grade, but they'll know our teacher's with me as we're doing our guided practice. Are they with me? Are they turning everything in? Are they paying attention? Are they getting it? And the students themselves will have this as a way to go back over material. What other questions do you have for me right now? Is there anything you need to see in Schoology? Holler at me. Because before we go, there's something I don't know if you've been using in resources, but I definitely want to show you that. Any other questions before I move on?
We don't have any right now.
All right. Now I want to show you something that I really absolutely love about Schoology. I love Schoology, period. I have 2 Canvas certifications, and Schoology is still my favorite love of learning management systems. Now, when I go into this resources tab, oh, y'all ready? I want you, is you ready now? I want you to know you're ready. Now, you can pull anything into your personal resources, right? So I have all of these things into my personal resources. But here's, so this is called a collection. Now look at all of these collections right here, right? So the cool thing about these collections is you are able with the collection to actually share materials to a current teacher or a new teacher inside of Schoology, or you can co-create course materials inside of Schoology. And here's what's so dope. Look at this. I'm going to click this science thing right here. Notice, oh, did I click the science one? Yeah. And notice I just put this math stuff in here. But look at this right here. Ooh-wee. Now, you see this math department, right? Now, look, from 2016, and Ms. Jones added this in 2018, we have lesson plans, we have all of these activities, we have assessments, we got all these activities that teachers have been co-creating for years, right? From quizzes, common assessments, study guides, classwork. They have been co-creating as a team for years. And what's great about this is you have a pool of resources to every year you go back, and as a team, you keep adding, and you all have all of these, have access to these resources. And if you have a new teacher that gets put in the team, they don't start from scratch because they get put into this collection. And they get to take what they want to take and leave what they don't need. It's all right here. It's in this collection, right? And so you see it's been shared with 15 people. So
before you move on, when you say share resources within Schoology with the current teacher, does that mean any tests, quizzes, assignments, etc., can be shared?
Anything. Absolutely anything. So for example, all right, so let's just say I'm going to add a resource to this 9th grade team. And this is when I was at the high school responsible for the 9th grade one-to-one rollout. So this was, I don't know, almost 10 years ago. So I have shared this with all of these teachers, right? Now, when you can edit, that means that you can add resources to this folder. If you have view only, that means you can see it, you can take it, but you can't add anything to it, right? So I can go to add resources. I can add a folder. I can add an assessment. I can add a quiz. I can add a assessment. I got my assignment. Here's my test bank, file links. I can add discussions, all of those things. So when I add a folder, I'm just going to add a folder here. And I'm going to call this Schoology Rocks. I create this folder. Everybody in this collection has access to that folder of Schoology Rocks. All that teacher has to do is to go here, and they can copy it to their home collection. That's the first thing you want to do. Now, when you add it to your home collection is your personal collection, right? So I just made a copy to my home collection. As you can see, my home collection, I've been at this game for a long time. So I got a whole bunch of stuff. And I take stuff from teachers too. So if I go in a teacher's classroom and I'm like, yo, this is dope, I take it and I put it in my stuff. So notice also we have schools who are using Schoology to submit their lesson plans. And that way a teacher can have all their lesson plans in one place. They can look at it and also give feedback to teachers as well. And so I'm looking at this Schoology Rocks. I'm going to go here. I'm going to hit add to course. I'm going to choose the course we've been working from. And when I go to my courses, Now that folder is right there. So you as a team, and here's the dope thing about it. You can be a third grade team at your school. You can create a third grade folder for your entire school district. And all teachers are building course materials. They're building lessons. They're building activities. They're building tests, bell ringers, formative assessments, summative assessments, all of that stuff. You're building all of that stuff, hyperdocs, all the things you want. All of those assignments you are building in your collection. And then from there, because these are all collection folders right here. And as you noticed, again, this is something that was shared. Look at this. Oh my gosh, I gotta tell you this. This teacher, Miss Haight, taught biology at our school. Miss Haight no longer teaches biology at our school district. So she gave me her folder. Look at this. Do you see all of this? She gave me all of that stuff that she's been doing, all of this right here. Now, I could easily see she's the owner of this, and look at all this stuff. I could easily take this folder, and this teacher no longer with the district, and I can copy this to my own collections and create a new collection where I add in all biology teachers from the high school, and now they have access to her resources. And so you can do this school-wide, you do this district-wide. Again, if you know a teacher is going out and they have a great course, you can say, hey, I love all of this. And here's another dope thing about Schoology. I don't know if y'all know about this, but I want to show you this right here, all right? So I'm gonna go to my courses. Here's my sample course right here, right? So you see this button that says options. Ooh, this is another bonus for you. All right, now, hope you're ready for this. I'm gonna click on options. I'm gonna say save to resources. It is going to save my entire course. Now, notice it says it's kind of large. It's going to take a little while to transfer it. But my entire course is being moved to my collections. Now, why would you want to do that? So you don't have to start over from scratch the following year. Because now when I go to my resources, because I've done this already, see, here's a Schoology for beginners, right? So all I got to do, and notice, look, I've taken stuff from other teachers. I'm like, yo, this is dope. I'm going to take it so I can give it to other teachers or even talk to them about it. So here's my Schoology course, my sample course section right here, because I've shown people how to do this before. All I got to do is go into Schoology, create my course shell. And from then, I just need to go to add to course. And my new course shell for next school year, I just click that button and hit add. And everything that I did from the previous school year is in Schoology. I'm good. All I got to do is go in and tweak stuff. So if I say, you know what, I want to add something to this assessment, I want to take something away, you can just go in there and edit it. If you say, hey, this assignment didn't quite go well from last year, you can go ahead and unpublish it so students don't see it, and then you yourself can add a new assessment, a new assignment to that. So you yourself are not starting from scratch. You just get to tweak stuff. Any questions? Do y'all like what you saw? Does it make you happy?
I'm liking it, but no questions.
All right. Oh, the band person. Let me show you something. And this can happen for other teachers as well. All right, so I'm gonna go in my course because I want to show you this option. Right. So let me go into one of my quizzes. So I'm gonna go to this Schoology demo that I created earlier. I'm going to my questions, and then I'm going to click Oh, no, it's an assignment. Hold on. Get excited. Getting excited. All right. So you see this thing that says add media album. So I click on this. Right. And so we can call this brass section. You can give the description of what they're going to play. And you can hit individual assign, and you can just start typing in all of the students who are in that brass section. And now you have everybody right here. And then when I hit create, all your students have to do is they can record themselves on their phone and use the Schoology app, right? Or even use their laptop camera, record themselves playing that piece. And when they hit add files, all they got to do then is add, just put that video in. And now you get to look at different students in the brass section actually play their music. Boom. There you go. Just want to show it because I just want to show you how that look. And then that's just click add, like I said, and then attach that. And so you'll actually see different screens of all of the videos that you just get to watch, and then you can actually give feedback to the students. Let's see what's that. Miss Wainwright. What do you say, Miss Wainwright? But backboards like Schoology. I can definitely see what Schoology trump. Yes, Schoology is amazing. It's amazing. I love it. It's the only one of the programs that I endorse. Now, because I'm not in the NASCAR situation. Is there a limit on the MBs for videos? Miss Casada, I don't know, because I haven't known anyone to give me an issue on how long a video is for students to submit. Now, for those questions with Schoology, you can actually have there's a time limit where you can actually set it where kids can submit, let's say do a 10-minute video response, right? So you can set a time limit. But in terms of the space of the video, I have not heard anyone do that. And we have had band teachers who use Schoology, and none have said, oh, by the way, our kids were told they ran out of space when they were submitting a piece of music. The one said this is much simpler than Flipgrid. I'm trying to look at these. It's a great. It was first time using Schoology. Yeah, you can see it's really simple. The one things I definitely want to ask you to, make sure when you create your class, you set up your grade book. You also use your mastery, where you set any test question you give them, any assignment you give them, you set it to a standard so that you can actually go back and check where your students are, because you can actually pull a mastery report and it will let you know where your kids are. So you're not, quote unquote, guessing or waiting for your school to do a standards mastery or a district-wide assessment. You'll know from week to week where your kids are, and that'll help you better accelerate and remediate your students. Because remember, with Schoology, it allows you to individually assign students. So by going with your mastery, you can say, hey, these 5 kids are not mastering this standard. So now I can assign work or create an instructional video or a tutorial just for those 5 kids based upon this standard. So Schoology gives you a lot of options in doing that, as well as, if your tech people have given you the options to do so, you can actually integrate apps right into your class. Some will have to be you can do, and some will have to be integrated from the district level. And then you can actually create assignments and things straight from, again, this goes straight through Schoology, and you're not sending your kids all over the internet. So I think I have concluded. Let me stop sharing my screen. So if anyone wants to comment on something they saw that they were like, yo, this is cool, they know I could do, or you have any questions, hey, holler at me. I want to know.
Thank you for showing me how to get in that and do that for the band classes, because like I said, that's a lot easier to navigate and use when in comparison with Flipgrid.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Hi, I wanted to ask you, when you have different sections in a course and you want to see the grades for each section, can you also see the grades for all of the sections? Like together?
No, you have to, if someone created a class and they put multiple sections, you'll have to switch sections to see the grade book.
Okay.
Right. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
But it is one, I'm sorry, it is one click. So it's really not an issue. It's one click. You, just like you said, you switch. So it's one click and then it's the other one.
Yeah.
If they're linked. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Absolutely, that this is a very good, I am Irma Carino. This is a very, very good a resource for co-teaching.
For sure, for sure, for sure. We like I said, we've enjoyed doing Schoology for about 8 years, now. Our elementary school, this year we're going into that 3rd year with it. And I'm just hoping to help teachers navigate it in a way, because like right now we're not completely online. Now we've had to do that when, let's say, a teacher has been out and you know, other teacher has been able to use Schoology to fully work with those students while, let's say, a sub was in. But from a blended learning perspective, where you as a teacher can do your direct instruction and facilitate instruction with students and be able to communicate and answer questions, and plus what they go online, this is a great way to do so, because Schoology is you can do so many things with it, but it's going to keep track of everything. And all your parents have to do is, I don't know if you know how to do this. Let me share my screen one more time so you can see how to do this. But inside of your course, when you go to members, you see this thing that says parent access codes. You click that, you download it. All right, can y'all see this?
Mm-hmm.
All right, now you see this parent access code. This is what you give parents, because what's going to happen is parents will go to Schoology, click create a free account, but they're going to select parent, and then they're going to put in information like email address, all those things, but it's going to ask them for a parent code. You give them the parent code that's attached to their child. And now when the parent logs in, they can actually, if they have one child, this is it. But if they have two, they can toggle between the two on the top right, and they'll actually be able to see everything. Okay, everything that your district allows them to see, they'll be able to see it. So that can mean the grade book, schoolwork, activities, all of those things. And again, the cool thing about that is you're keeping parents into the loop in which they themselves can see this. Your district might as well, we didn't cover this, but there's a function in Schoology called groups. So you as a teacher could actually create a group in Schoology, give your parents the code, and inside of the group, your parents can actually ask questions inside of that group. Your parents can communicate inside of that group, and you can facilitate conversations inside of that Schoology group as well. You can also use Schoology groups. Let's say you're a coach, right? So you can create a group for your football team or your basketball team, and you can because we've had a basketball a coach use that. So all of his students are in the group, and he sends out content to his students in the group. And one thing that I found interesting, he was like, I put out a daily inspirational quote or message for my students. And so inside of the group, he can actually communicate with them in one space inside of Schoology, and this one's without having to go outside via email or what have you. So Schoology has a lot of functionality inside of it for you to be able to create a community of learning, whether with students or with parents.
I just have been using Schoology with what I've picked up as I've used it or what somebody has shown me. I really would like to have a back to the basics, because I know there's stuff I missed. And I know there's stuff that's come out that other people have not shown me. And I love Schoology. And I want to, we've got it in our district and I love using it.
All right. Well, if Doc will have me back for basics, how to create a course and put students into a class and how to create instruction from scratch, if she'll have me, I'll be back.
I will absolutely have you back. You just let me know and we can schedule the date.
Yes, ma'am.
We do have, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, thank you.
We did have a question in the chat. He says, I didn't know about how parents could access Schoology before. Can parents communicate with the teacher through Schoology?
Most definitely. That envelope icon at the top right, you can send messages back and forth.
All right. Well, Dr. Will, I think we are done. Thank you so much. Like, this was so enlightening because I'm not a Schoology user, and I hear all about all the things that you can do with it, but man, you just went deep into, like, you can do some good stuff right there in Schoology. So thank you for really taking us there, not being afraid to really like show us examples and all that good stuff. Just thank you so much. This was like, this is a must watch.
Thank you. I appreciate for the opportunity.